mynews.studio.
10 new marine reserves, 5 million square kilometers under protection. Do you think this could actually mark the beginning of a global ocean recovery?
Today is July 16th, 2025. Those numbers sound huge, but I wonder, what's really going on with these marine reserves? Why now? And why should we care?
So, in June, there was this big coordinated effort. 10 new marine reserves were declared across different oceans, stretching from the Pacific all the way to the Caribbean. But it's not just about drawing boundaries on a map. This is tied to the international goal of protecting 30% of the world's oceans by 2030.
Why 30%, though? Is that just a round number, or is there science behind it?
Good point. 30% is the threshold that marine scientists say gives ocean biodiversity a real shot at surviving and bouncing back. It's not arbitrary. It's based on a lot of research about ecosystem resilience.
And the headline here is French Polynesia, right? Nearly 5 million square kilometers, by far the biggest marine protected area on the planet. But what does that actually look like day to day? Is everything off limits?
Not exactly. Out of that whole area, about 1.1 million square kilometers are under strict protection. That means no industrial fishing, no deep-sea mining. But within the rest, traditional fishing, ecotourism, and scientific research are still allowed. It's a hybrid approach that combines indigenous stewardship, like the Rahu system, with modern conservation science.
So bringing in indigenous systems, does that actually help, or is it more about symbolism?
It really works. Local communities actually have a stake in what happens. Take French Polynesia. They've set up artisanal fishing zones where small-scale, traditional fishing is still permitted. That supports local economies and helps with food security. Plus, governance includes community representatives. The way these areas are designed reflects what locals care about: biodiversity, food, and cultural heritage.
And it's not just happening in French Polynesia, right? Australia's moving toward 30% high protection in its waters. Caribbean countries have this 30 by 30 plan. Chile's expanding around its islands and even in the high seas. Colombia, the Marshall Islands, they're stepping up too. Is there real coordination, or is it more like a domino effect?
Honestly, it's a bit of both. The Global Biodiversity Framework is driving a lot of this. It was reinforced at the UN Ocean Conference in Nice. Countries are definitely sharing tools and learning from each other. But there's also some healthy competition over who can set the bar.
Setting up reserves is one thing. But how do you actually enforce rules over such huge areas? 5 million square kilometers is a lot of ocean. Are we talking satellites?
Yeah, satellites are a big part of it. Authorities can use real-time satellite monitoring to spot vessels entering no-take zones. They also use vessel tracking systems, AIS, VMS, plus aerial patrols and even drones. International cooperation matters, especially for distant or high seas areas. And with the High Seas Treaty, the BBNJ agreement, there's now a legal framework to help enforce these protections.
That covers the tech and the law. But is there evidence these reserves actually work?
Early results are promising. In French Polynesia and other new reserves, studies and government reports show more fish, healthier coral reefs, and species like manta rays and seabirds returning. On the socioeconomic side, those traditional fishing zones help protect local food sources and jobs. Ecotourism and scientific research also bring in funds to the communities.
So it's not just about saving marine life. It's jobs, food, culture. But is there a risk that some communities get overlooked?
That's a real issue. The most successful cases are where local voices are part of the decision-making from the beginning. When that happens, reserves tend to work better, ecologically and socially. The main takeaway? Conservation isn't one size fits all. Every place has its own needs.
What does this mean for the world as a whole? Why should someone who lives far from the ocean care?
Oceans regulate the climate, provide food, and support millions of jobs. Protecting them helps everyone, whether you live in a coastal village or a city far from the sea. These new reserves are a test. Can we move from just taking resources to actually caring for the ocean?
And do you think we'll really hit that 30% by 2030 goal? Or could all this slow down now that the headlines have faded?
That's the big unknown. Progress is happening, but it's uneven. Whether these reserves succeed depends on enforcement, funding, and local involvement.
We've seen bold plans, new tech, indigenous leadership, and some early wins. But the key is what happens next and whether the world keeps paying attention.
10 new marine reserves, millions of square kilometers, and a global experiment in caring for the ocean. Are we actually turning the tide, or just making ripples? Thanks for joining us as we dug into the details.
Thanks for tuning in. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. Try it free.